I just saw Cuba. Cuba's been in San Francisco since the very beginning, and he's just said to me, you know, when I first met you, he said, I'm thinking about how long ago that was. Did you have any idea where this thing was going to go? And I said, truthfully, we had no idea. How could we have realized that what would develop out of those early days in New York and Philadelphia back in the late 60s, early 70s, would literally become the most significant art form in the last 40 years. Here we have painting with a spray can, mostly done by young people, becoming the biggest thing since pop art. So that's pretty dramatic.
I got involved with the Lilac Mural project with Randolph Bose and yourself, Lisa Brewer. And we've been at it for 5 years.
5 years.
5 years. It has beautified Lilac Alley. If you would have walked through Lilac Alley 5 years ago, it was tagged gang activity, drug activity. It's just one of your typical alleys here in the Mission. And what the Mission 415 Art Project did, it was change that and made it into a beautiful gallery, works of art.
We use this art form as a tool to bring in youth from the streets and get them involved in painting legally here, so that they can see that, guess what, you know, you can have your name up, you can be recognized, but you can do it legally, and you don't have to put yourself at risk to do that. You know, there's countless stories of how the art in these alleys have saved lives, you know, when it was a choice between being in the streets, gang banging and getting in trouble, or focusing on art and then being creative, being around other positive people that are doing art. Those that chose this are still around. And so we just try to spread that on to the next generation.
I think the Lilac Alley is a perfect example of how you take something that's in the community already that can be improved. There's things going on in this alley that I wouldn't want my family doing, or I wouldn't want my neighbor doing, right? So Lilac Alley has created a safe haven for people to come in, paint. Now that you have all this art going on, like I said earlier, art kazoo, people come in here and just really go, whoa, this is a place that for some reason it draws respect. And so people might be like, okay, I'm not gonna mess around in here. There might be people coming through. And amazingly, now there's like art groups coming through, taking tours. I mean, that makes me want to cry. You know what I mean? It's like you could have never predicted that stuff back in the day, ever.
Just the fact that it's in the street, first of all, I think that's a social change in and of itself. But you know, we're cartoonists basically. We just go big or paint big. I mean, all of this is basically cartoon. So just, I don't know, make political cartoons directly, because that's the thing that originally turned me on to it. I just knew that it could be a powerful political tool. The first graffiti I grew up on in Baltimore, it said, "Death to the pusher, Black October, dope must go." That was all over Baltimore, left over from the 60s. And the same walls I would tag on, those old ghost tags were still there. Anyway, that's what I grew up on, and then I saw Revolt. And that, was it for me.
My kids, other writers inspire me, you know, my crew, you know, legendary writers from the past. Even the new generation, they kind of inspire me. My young friends that's coming up, I watch them developing and getting better and still pushing and going even further, like taking it to other cities. And which is cool that they mention my name, like, hey, this is a pioneer that will help me out. So it kind of goes hand in hand, you know. You know, everybody gives each other their props, you know, their respect.
My father and I are known for our comic characters. My father was Vaughn Bodie, and he's probably the most iconic artist to create the look of the hip hop and graffiti characters. I moved out here about 6 years ago, and I had always toyed around with spray can art, but not really serious about it because I was always a comic book artist. Once the technology of the can came along and I met Cuba and it was off to the races, I started doing pieces all over the city and the Bay Area. And he introduced me to Randolph and Lisa, and we started painting in the Lilac Alley and got some major pieces here now. And it's grown. It's an amazing thing to be part of.
I make my art public because it's a lot more exciting to share your art with the world than to like do a canvas and put it in a gallery where only a privileged person might be able to see it. But if you do it on the street, you're kind of like force people to see your artwork in a way. And it might not be something they want to see, but it may be something that they need to see. The most beautiful thing about that is that all these walls around us are all built to separate us, but when you put art on them, they unify people and people can identify with it and connect with it. My ultimate goal, travel the world, taking over every alley and every neighborhood that needs art and color and happiness and hope.